December is always a time of year where I like to reflect. I look back on the year, on some of the things that I want to achieve and rate myself and see how did I do against those goals. But it's also a time to look back on some of the things that I've carried with me, the technology I've used, and some of the things that I've fallen in love with during that time. In this video, I'm going to go through my most carried items during 2023. These are not necessarily my favorites. Some of them are just workhorses that really work, but the things I had with me all the time throughout the year, that's the pocket knives I carried most, the pens I carried most, my wallet, my money, all my electronics like my watch, my Whoop, my iPad, you name it. The things that I used most this year are going to be in this video. I want to use this video to go through why I carried those things, as well as make recommendations to you if you're considering any of these or considering getting a gift for someone. It is holiday season. So what are the things that I would recommend out of this list that might be a good fit for you or someone that you love? Let's get started. How's it going, folks? My name's Marcus. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here on this channel, I like to talk about technology, EDC, or anything that can help me live a happier, balanced, more productive life. So let's get started with this video, and first and foremost, let's talk about my phone. So I am someone who's locked into the Apple ecosystem. I've zero interest in getting locked into the Apple versus Android debate. There's lots of that on the internet, and honestly, I don't have a strong feeling about it either way. I use various MacBooks. I've got Mac Studio, and I've got several iPads, which I think make me incredibly productive, and I've had an iPhone since they first came out in 2007. This is the first year where I haven't upgraded to the latest iPhone. This is the iPhone 14 Pro, and I didn't see enough reason for the first time since Apple has started releasing these phones to actually go for the incremental release with the 15 Pro. There's various problems with that phone around overheating, Bendgate, where it's easy to break in your pocket, and just some of the additional things that they've added just weren't enough for me this year. In fact, this was the first year where I really did consider switching to Android for my phone. I'm really interested in the Pixel Fold. I like the form factor. It's a beautiful phone. I was also interested in switching to the Samsung Fold 5, but I didn't actually do it in the end because I am locked into this system. We do our photo sharing with my parents in Ireland through Apple ecosystem. I'm locked into a lot of different parts of the ecosystem, which is what Apple does best. My strategy with phones is, you'll see this is absolutely smashed to pieces. I never put a case on my phones. What's the point in Apple going to the trouble of designing these in California, manufacturing them in China, only to put a case on it so that it doesn't feel as good as it possibly could? My theory on this is, if you get Apple Care plus theft, which I do on all my devices, that if I drop it, if I break it, it's $29 to replace the screen. It will get banged up, dinged up, and patinaed over time, but guess what? I love owning the things that I own, and having those dings, scratches, and scrapes actually make it my own. So it's part of owning the device. So I'm a big fan. Keep your phone in your pocket. Try not to drop it so much. I drop mine probably just once a day, something small like that. But it makes it your own device, and that's my theory on that. After that though, sticking with the Apple ecosystem, I've got the Apple Watch Ultra. Now, those of you who's watched my channel before know that I have a Rolex as well. I get a lot of questions on why do you wear a Rolex and an Apple Watch. I know it looks ridiculous sometimes. I don't do it a whole lot of these days. I do it, maybe for a week here and there, and then get tired of having two devices, one on each wrist. I love my Rolex for sentimental reasons. It's the most beautiful piece of EDC that I have, and it brings me joy when I wear it. But my Apple Watch Ultra makes me incredibly productive. I like tracking my data, I like tracking my health, I like the messages and notifications I get in it when I'm on Zoom calls and I can just glance down and see what's happening in the background. So it is a really versatile piece of kit. I've stuck with the Apple Watch Ultra. I didn't upgrade to the Ultra 2 because guess what, same as the iPhone 15 Pro, there's no real reason to do it this year. This was a step function shift in terms of functionality over the previous Apple Watches, of which I've had many, and I didn't see the incremental upgrade for the 2 this year, so I'm going to wait a release and keep this watch with me, which I absolutely love, and I've got zero complaints about it. And then the final thing in the Apple ecosystem, I guess the second last thing, is the iPad mini. I've been using this all year. This has been fantastic. It sits in front of me at my desk. I've got it connected through Sidecar so that I can keep my Slack notifications open on this. I've got 2 monitors in front of me all the time, but I always have my Slack on this iPad while I'm working throughout the day. Second thing is, when I'm traveling, if I'm going away for 2 or 3 days and I don't need to bring a computer with me, I'll bring the iPad. It's incredibly effective. It's great for email, PowerPoint, Word documents, anything like that. Really powerful, really small. And that combined with a little keyboard, using the Apple Pencil as well, makes it an absolute powerhouse. So I found myself grabbing that, even if I'm only going out for a couple of hours, if I'm going to a coffee shop, instead of doing things on my phone, doing things on the iPad mini makes me more effective. And I think that this deserves a place in anyone's bag if you're just going out for a couple of hours. iPad mini Pro. iPad Mini Pro. Now I would love if they made an iPad Mini Pro, that would be sweet. No, but it's the iPad Mini. And the final thing in the Apple ecosystem is my AirPods Pro 2s. These are really, really great headphones, really good at noise cancelling, really great at taking calls. If you have them in for hours at a time during the day, they don't bother me. I use them on flights instead of using my big Bose over-ears anymore. These are really the only things I bring with me. I always have them here in this top pocket of my jeans. I'll never be without them. If I'm only bringing 2 things out with me, I mean literally 2 things, instead of having a wallet or anything, I'll bring my Apple Watch and these AirPods, and that means I can do all my messaging, all my notifications, take calls, everything like that, pay for things, and that's without any of these things. So if I'm just going for a run, or if I'm in a pair of shorts, or I'm at a swimming pool, these are the 2 things I'll have with me at that time. Sticking with electronics though, and sticking with fitness tracking, the Apple Watch I think is great for fitness tracking, and I'm a big fan of tracking all my metrics and data. This year was a big year for me in terms of health and fitness. During COVID, for the previous 3 years, I kind of let things go, and year after year for maybe 3 years, having small kids and not taking care of myself, I found myself 30 pounds heavier than I was going into COVID, and I really was in a bit of a rut around getting fit and taking care of myself. So 2023 for me was a big year of starting to take control of that again. Started exercising, started working out, have a full Andrew Huberman exercise routine that I've been doing for the last 8 months. I might make a video on it in the new year actually, because I'm going to recommit to some of those goals. So if you'd like to see that, comment on it below. I'll make sure I'll do that. But in order to help me on this journey, I felt like I needed more information than I just get from my Apple Watch. And for this, I decided to go with the Whoop fitness band. This is not sponsored, just to be clear. This is not, I don't make any money from this. I bought this, I pay for this myself. But I will have a link in the description below, which means that if you use my code to sign up and get the free Whoop, get this on your wrist and sign up for a month of free use, I'll get a free month as well. We can be buddies, we can track each other. Let me know if you do that. So link in the description for that. What this is you might have seen it in a bunch of my videos. People often ask, it's just this small band. I choose to wear mine on my bicep. It's a band you can wear on your wrist, you can wear it on your ankle. They actually make sports clothing, so you can have it in a bra, or you can have it on the liner of your underpants if you don't want people to see it. I don't care about it, so I keep it on my bicep. It's the most comfortable place for me to have it and makes me feel jacked when I pump the guns. But having this Whoop on gives me much more information and much more insight into what's happening. Whoop is great because they have a strain metric. So they give you strain targets for each day in terms of how much you want to exert yourself. It's not just about steps or how many minutes you worked out, things like that. It's about a percentage strain that they calculate for you using their own algorithm. It's proprietary. They also have a recovery algorithm, so they'll tell you when it's a day that you should take it easy, because they'll factor in your sleep, they'll factor in how much strain, how much activity you did, your heart rate, your resting heart rate, the variability of your heart rate, all of that stuff, and tell you when you should work out and when you should take it easy, what are the days you should relax and what are the days that you actually have it in you to go harder. I found the sleep tracking on this to be absolutely fantastic. I live by it, and I actually use the data from this more than I do my Apple Watch. Apple Watch is fantastic as a smartwatch. There's some great fitness stuff in this as well, but I found the Whoop to be better, and I keep this on my bicep for that reason. Nobody really sees it unless I'm in a t-shirt or I'm making a video and you guys notice it and ask me what the hell is that thing. But Whoop, if you're looking for something as a fitness device, not crazy expensive. You can do it on a monthly subscription. I've been wearing it for 8 months now, and I strongly recommend it and can stand over it. Give it a try, see what you think. Now on to the more typical EDC items that you see on this channel, the thing that I have in my pockets every single day. And the first and foremost is, which knife did I carry most this year? Now I have a bunch of super expensive knives. I've got knives that I really paid too much money for. This one is the QSP Penguin. It's D2 steel. It's a reasonably chunky knife. In fact, when I bought it, I thought it would be too big for me in terms of from the type, the size knife that I typically like to carry. But I have loved carrying it this year. So it's D2 steel, so it's not the best steel. It is possible to put a good edge on it. It is rust resistant, but it's not up there, with SP30, SP45, all those other steels which are maybe more premium steels. It's got a more micarta to scale on it. It's got a nice deep carry pocket clip, and I've really loved carrying it this year. I found it easy to sharpen, easy to keep a good edge on it. It's nice and flat. It comes to a scalpel blade on the top of it, so it's easy for cutting through boxes, which is my primary use case. But it's also very easy to open one-handed, which is the criteria for me on having one of these knives. Otherwise, I'll use a Victorinox if it doesn't really matter to me. But if I'm carrying a single blade knife, it needs to be locking. It needs to be able to open it one-handed. This is less than $50, and I've really enjoyed carrying it. There's a bunch of different QSP knives that I'm interested in exploring next year, but given that I bought this early in the year last year, and how often I found myself reaching for it to have it in my pocket. It was kind of a pleasant surprise to me that a reasonably cheap knife that I've really enjoyed carrying this year, and I can stand over as being something that I beat around the place. It's really taken a hammering and really stood up really well. So if you're thinking of getting someone a gift, or if you've considered one of these knives before, I would say go for it. It's a pretty safe carry. I really like it. After that, in terms of flashlights, I don't carry a flashlight every day. I do see the benefit of one. One of the things I get asked all the time is, if you have a flashlight on your phone, why would you bother carrying a flashlight? But having a flashlight that has got better lumens, more output than your phone, once you've carried one, once you've carried one for a week and you've seen the benefit of it and that you actually do pull it out 4 or 5 times a day, it's kind of an easy win. I do see the benefit of carrying a flashlight, and I've got a lot of different flashlights I've tried this year. And I would say there's been no one flashlight that I've had the entire time, just to be clear. But one of the lights that I've enjoyed carrying the most is this Prometheus. The reason I like it is it just looks so cool. It's got a copper finish to it. It's really classy. I have it on a KeySmart clip so that it hangs deep in my pocket. I don't even know that I have it. It just sits next to my pocket knife, but I can clip it up quickly. It comes on with a twist so that you can get your light, it's really quick to activate. And it's been really solid. Second thing is that if I do ever want to put it on my keychain, I can. I've got it with the Prometheus connectors, so it's easy to pull on and off from my keys, so I don't have to have my keys dangling from it. It's just in general a good flashlight. It's patinaed beautifully. It's really become my own. It was really shiny and red when I got it. And now, yeah, when I pull out my drawer and I'm trying to think about which flashlight do I want to have, this one jumps into my pocket more than other ones, just because of how beautiful it looks and how nice it feels in the hand. After that, wherever I go, I'm never without my notepad. And I always go for this. If you've watched this channel before, you'll know this. Tomoe River notebooks. This is the A7 5mm grid. I think it's 160 pages. It's made in Japan. It's 52 milligrams, whatever it is. What do you measure paper in? Really thin paper. That's why I like it. I like to write with a fountain pen, or I like to write with my favorite kind of everyday carry pen, which is a Uni-Ball Eye Micro, one of the fine point micros. It's really good at retaining the ink. It doesn't smudge. It doesn't bleed through from one side to the next, but the paper is incredibly thin, so that when you are on one page, you can kind of see the outline of the next page, but not quite see through it. And I found it to be absolutely fantastic for keeping all my notes, my thoughts, anything that's really important to me. I keep in this notebook. When I first started carrying a notebook, I felt like a little bit of an imposter, because why are your thoughts so good that they have to be captured in a notebook? Or why don't you just put them in your phone? But I have found over time, as I've had this notebook, actually my thoughts are, I do think I'm putting more and more important things in here. I do love to scan through this and kind of see what are some of the things that I've thought about before. It's a reasonably expensive notebook for the size of it, but for me, I'm always going to carry one of these. I love it. I've been doing it for years, and I can't, You're either someone who carries a notebook or you don't. If you don't carry a notebook, how about you try it? Why don't you make it your New Year's resolution to carry one for January? See how you feel about it. Maybe splurge. Maybe get the Tomoe River notebook and see what's so good about this experience, and why do I rant about it all the time. After that, I talked about it real quick. The pen that I always bring with me is the Uni-Ball Eye Micro. I love these pens. The only time I don't really like them is when I'm on a plane, and sometimes they bleed on me. And I do have other great solutions for that people have given me from a previous video, but I don't want to go into too much detail on it here, other than this is always in my pocket. It's always tucked next to my pocket knife. Even if I'm not carrying a pocket knife, I'm carrying a pen and paper, bring them with me all the time. I also sometimes carry a Sharpie in my back pocket. That's usually if I'm going into the office, or if I'm going on a flight and I want to be able to take some notes and kind of organize my thoughts as I go. You'll see I like to create a lot of color in the things that I do so that they pop. So I'll often carry a Sharpie with me. Not all the time, often. Sometimes if I'm being really fancy, I'll carry my Mont Blanc Meisterstück with me, but I mostly use this at home. But it is an everyday thing that I use at home. I have it on my desk here. I write my morning pages with it every single morning. I have a journaling practice, link to the video here. And those morning pages are mostly done using this Mont Blanc Meisterstück, because it makes me feel like I'm a big deal. After that, I've got my wallet. This is a wallet that I made a number of years ago, but this is probably or possibly the last year I'm going to carry this wallet. I've decided to make a change with it. This is a wallet I made. I used a laser printer at my company to create it. I stitched it. I did all this stuff myself. I designed and stitched it myself. It's patinaed. It's been in my pocket for I think 8 years now, 7 years, something like that, and I've always used it. But this year, I see myself getting a little bit itchy and maybe thinking about trying something new. I have ordered a couple of wallets from a couple of different brands, and in January I'm going to be going through what's my new wallet and what's the new system that I want to do for 2024. So this wallet has been fantastic. I've loved it. I'll probably go back to it at some stage. It will just be in my drawer, but I'm going to try something new for 2024. So let's do it. After that comes my money clip. I'm old school. I like to carry cash with me wherever I go. And for this, I'm using a MOB Insignia MOB Copper money clip. I like that it goes together with the copper flashlight that I have. I think it looks classy. And I got this on Etsy. And if I can find the link of where I bought it, I'd recommend it. I mean, it's pretty good. It's not great. It's kind of off-center. The MOB is not quite in the middle, etc. Well, I think they've done a reasonably good job. But I carry this with me all the time. Always have some cash. Yeah, a little bit old school like that. Besides that, we'll do a quick whistle-stop tour. I carry a medical pack with me that I create these things. I've got like 5 or 6 of these. Band-aids, some little sutures for stitches, kids Tylenol or kids drugs, parent drugs, ibuprofen, acetaminophen, things like that. And some band-aids, lots and lots of band-aids, something just to get you out of pinch. This is not an emergency situation first aid kit, it's a dad first aid kit. So that sits with me wherever I go for when the kids fall off their scooters or invariably stick their fingers in things they're not supposed to. After that, I've got my glasses. For these, I've got these Ray-Bans. I either wear these Ray-Bans or a set of Warby Parkers that I've got, also clear. I'm a big fan of clear lenses when you're wearing glasses, just so you can see more of your face. Although I do have an exciting pair of glasses coming again that I'll be sporting next year starting in January. I'm going to be excited to show those off, and they're not clear lenses. In fact, they're crazy high tech. Very excited about it. Finally, last but not least, is my keychain, and I have not changed this at all since December of last year. I did a full extensive how to build a perfect keychain video here. I recommend you go watch that if you're interested in keychains. I'm incredibly anal about what I carry on my keychain and how I do it, and things have stayed the same for the last 12 months, so I won't bore you with it here. So that's everything I've carried with me for 2023. As I look back on the year, there's a lot of things that were the same when I started the year, but also a lot of things have changed as well, and I've kind of surprised myself with some of the things that, like the QSP Penguin, that really became a staple of my EDC for the year. I'm looking forward to 2024. I'm planning on making a bunch of changes here and really shaking things up. If I was saying to you one thing, what's the number one thing this year that I benefited from the most? It's the Whoop. It kind of changed how I see health and fitness and my own, I've kind of lost 40 pounds since I started wearing it. So if you've got New Year's resolutions, or if you're thinking about maybe taking care of yourself a little bit better, you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, Whoop's the way to go. Best EDC of the year for me. All right, what are the things that you've carried from this year? What are the things that you think are nonsense here that you have absolutely no time for? Or what are the things that you've kind of surprised yourself with that you've always just found in your pocket for the year? I'd love to know about it. Stick them in the comments below. Good luck. Bye.